The morning of December 24th arrived, bringing with it an unsettling silence. Kevin McAllister awoke to find the house disturbingly quiet. The twinkling Christmas tree stood alone in the corner, its cheerful lights casting eerie shadows on the empty room. The snowman in the yard, which was once a symbol of festive joy, now seemed like a chilling sentinel in the ghostly landscape. The reindeer decorations looked more like spectral creatures lurking in the snowy gloom. Kevin was home alone for the third year in a row, but this time it just felt eerily different. It was a stark contrast to the usual bustle of his family preparing for Christmas. As he padded through the still hallways, decorated with faded tinsel and holly, a chill ran down his spine, a foreboding sense of dread creeping over him. The twinkling Christmas lights cast long, gnarly shadows that danced menacingly along the walls. As he descended into the basement, the silence was broken by a guttural growl that sent a shockwave of terror through his body. There, lurking in the dim light, was a grotesque creature of nightmares. It was a monstrous hybrid of Buzz's tarantula and a mutated rat, its body a sickening fusion of hairy arachnid and gnarled rodent. Its eyes glowed a chilling Christmas red, reflecting the twinkling Christmas lights from above. Its fangs dripped with venom, each droplet sizzling as it hit the cold concrete floor. The creature let out a low, rumbling growl that echoed ominously around the basement, a horrifying parody of a Christmas carol. The stench of the creature was nauseating, a mixture of decaying flesh and damp fur. Its history was etched on its body, scars from battles fought, lives it had claimed. The creature had roamed the sewers and subterranean tunnels beneath the city, emerging only to feed. It had annihilated entire colonies of rats, leaving behind a trail of destruction and fear. Its reputation had grown among the underworld creatures, known only as the Christmas Beast. Panic seized Kevin as he took in the monstrosity before him. Thoughts raced through his mind like frantic reindeer. He was alone, trapped in a house of horrors with a creature that had torn apart stronger, fiercer opponents. He could almost hear the creature's growl morphing into a twisted version of Jingle Bells, sending shivers down his spine. Kevin's mind flashed back to previous years when he had outwitted the two bumbling burglars, using his wit and a series of homemade traps. But this creature was not a dim-witted burglar. It was a predator, a beast that had survived in the shadows, feasting on fear and death. The once comforting Christmas decorations now seemed to mock him, their cheerful colors a stark contrast to the terror unfolding. The twinkling lights became glaring eyes, the candy canes sharp daggers, and the gingerbread house a grim reminder of his entrapment. The ghost of Christmas past had come to haunt him, but this was no ordinary ghost. It was a creature from the darkest corners of horror. As the creature advanced, its body scraping against the Christmas tree, sending a shower of pine needles to the floor, Kevin knew he had to fight. Alone, terrified but determined, he would face the Christmas beast. This was his home, his Christmas, and he would protect it at all costs. With a determined glint in his eyes, Kevin began devising strategies. He turned the house into a fortress, using every trick he had learned from his previous experiences. Each trap was meticulously planned, each hiding spot carefully chosen. The Christmas ornaments became weapons, the tinsel wires turned into snares, and the reindeer statues transformed into terrifying decoys. Kevin McAllister, alone and faced with the chilling Christmas beast, knew he had to rely on his ingenuity and resourcefulness. His mind raced back to the strategies he'd used against the wet bandits in the past, the lessons he'd learned from those encounters now more critical than ever before. He began by mapping out the house in his mind, just as he had done years ago. Each room, each hallway, each nook and cranny would serve a purpose in his battle plan. The living room, with its towering Christmas tree and abundance of presents, would be the lure, a tantalizing trap for the creature. The basement, with its labyrinthine layout and numerous hiding spots, would serve as the battleground where he would confront the beast. Kevin knew he needed weapons, and he turned to the most plentiful resources he had: Christmas ornaments. He remembered the satisfying crunch of a bauble under a burglar's foot, and the shock of surprise that crossed Marv's face. This time, however, he had to be more creative. He filled some of the hollow plastic ornaments with a mixture of hot sauce and vinegar, creating makeshift stink bombs. Others he reinforced with a layer of glue and a coating of shattered glass shards, turning them into deadly projectiles. The tinsel wires that adorned the house were transformed into snares, their shiny, festive appearance belying their dangerous purpose. He strung them across doorways and staircases, creating a network of traps that would ensnare the beast and provide Kevin with precious moments to strike or escape. He also repurposed the strings of Christmas lights, connecting them to various appliances around the house. He remembered how the burglars had stumbled around in the dark, disoriented and vulnerable. He planned to use the lights to his advantage, manipulating the environment to blind or distract the creature. Every element of his plan was meticulously thought out, each trap designed with a specific purpose in mind. He drew from his past experiences, adapting his strategies to the unique challenge he now faced. His once cherished Christmas decorations were now his arsenal, twisted symbols of his desperate fight for survival. As he worked, Kevin felt a mixture of fear and determination. He was alone, facing a monster that had claimed countless lives before him, but he refused to be another victim. He would fight, using every resource at his disposal, every trick he had learned from his past encounters, and perhaps, just perhaps, he would survive this horrifying Christmas night. Kevin's heart pounded in his chest as he watched, helpless, as the Christmas beast tore through his traps with ease. The creature's strength and ferocity were unlike anything he'd ever seen. His once safe home had been transformed into a war zone, the festive decorations now twisted ruins of their former selves. In a desperate bid for survival, Kevin bolted for the safety of his treehouse. He dashed across the snow-covered yard, the cold air biting at his lungs, and the creature's growls echoing behind him. His treehouse, a sanctuary of childhood memories, now served as his last fortress. Inside the treehouse, Kevin fumbled for his walkie-talkie, his hands shaking with fear and cold. He had one last hope, one last desperate plan. He switched on the walkie-talkie and sent out a distress call to the only creature he thought might stand a chance against the Christmas beast, the abominable snowman. As he waited, the sounds from inside the house grew more terrifying. The creature's growls reverberated through the night, punctuated by the crashing of furniture and shattering glass. Each sound was a chilling reminder of the creature's destructive power. Then, in the distance, he heard it, the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps, growing louder with each passing second. As it approached, the ground trembled under its weight. Houses crumbled, cars were flattened, and screams filled the air as the abominable snowman made its way towards Kevin's house. When the abominable snowman finally arrived, it rose above the house, its sheer size dwarfing the Christmas beast. It roared, a sound so powerful it shook all the houses in the entire town, and Kevin could see the Christmas beast recoil in surprise and fear. The showdown that followed was like a scene out of a monster movie. The abominable snowman towered over the Christmas beast, its icy breath crystallizing the night air. With a roar that shook the foundations of the houses, it launched itself at the beast. The snowy giant's fists, as large as boulders and just as hard, crashed into the grotesque creature with a force that sent shockwaves down the street. With each blow, the abominable snowman unleashed a flurry of ice and snow, turning the battleground into a winter wonderland. The Christmas beast was bombarded by a storm of icy shards, each one piercing its hide and drawing screeches of pain. The fight spilled onto the streets, causing the ground to rumble with their monstrous clashes. The once quiet suburban street now looked like a war zone, the houses shaking, car alarms wailing, and stray dogs howling in fear. The spectacle drew the attention of neighbors from miles away, their faces pale and wide-eyed as they watched the monstrous showdown from their windows. The abominable snowman, with an icy roar, delivered a final, devastating blow that sent the Christmas beast crashing into a pile of snow-covered rubble. The beast lay still, a chilling silence falling over the street. In the aftermath, the abominable snowman turned to Kevin, its icy blue eyes softening. In a voice as deep and rumbling as an avalanche, it asked for a single gingerbread cookie. Kevin, still trembling from the battle, handed over the cookie, which the giant accepted gratefully, biting into it with a satisfied crunch. Kevin reached up and patted the abominable snowman on its frosty head, a small gesture of gratitude for saving his home and his life. With a final nod, the abominable snowman turned and lumbered away, disappearing into the snowy night. As if by magic, the street began to rebuild itself. Houses straightened, shattered windows mended, and crushed cars reshaped themselves. The once war-torn street was returned to its peaceful, suburban state, the only evidence of the battle being the lingering chill in the air. Just as the final icicle melted away, Kevin saw his family's car pull up in the driveway. His parents rushed towards him, apologies spilling from their lips as they embraced him. They celebrated Christmas as if nothing had happened, the house filled with laughter, warmth, and love. But Kevin kept his secret, the memory of the monstrous battle forever etched in his mind. He would always remember this Christmas, not for the gifts or the decorations, but for the terrifying beast, the heroic snowman, and the gingerbread cookie that saved his life.